Welcome to the Unitarians of Lake Norman, to everyone here in person today, and everyone who's visiting our service from home. We Unitarians are an open and inclusive congregation. Our members walk diverse paths to find meaning and purpose, but we're united by our belief in the inherent worth and dignity of all, and by our responsibility to express our faith through acts of justice and compassion. My name is Sandy McFeely, and I've been an active member of this congregation since 2013. Our musician today is Mike Alec, not joined by Eddie Gunn this time, and we are grateful to him for being here. Our speaker today is Pastor Kathleen Panning. She was ordained as a pastor in the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America in 1980. She served congregations in rural and urban settings. She was trained as a mentor and a coach and has supervised a number of seminary students. She retired from parish ministry in 2014. That doesn't mean she's retired, obviously. She then became the first clergy person to become a Fascinate certified advisor, and I hope she will tell us a little bit about what that means. From 2017 until last April, she hosted A Flame Ministry, an interfaith radio show on the BBM Global Network. That wasn't enough for a retired person. So in March of last year, she launched her own new podcast, The Tilted Halo. I love it. She's going to talk with us today about it's nice to be a blessed giver, but it requires first being a grateful receiver. We start our services and other activities by lighting a candle inside a chalice and speaking words that call us to that occasion. Please join me in saying today's chalice lighting words, which are in your order of service. We light this flaming chalice to illuminate the world we seek. In our search for truth, may we be just. In our search for justice, may we be loving. May we find peace. And now Pastor Kathleen will give us her opening words.
Just want to say as opening words, first of all, thank you to all of you for the invitation and the opportunity to be with you today. And the opening song was very important and very appropriate for what I'm going to be talking about and sharing today about finding times and ways and reasons for giving thanks, other than some of the ones we normally do. So that's kind of what I'll be talking about. The title is in the bulletin there. Think about that saying. When was the last time you heard someone say, or you yourself said, it's more blessed to give than to receive? Just think about that. So thank you.
And now please stay comfortably seated, and Mike will take us with his music into a place of worship and contemplation. And now Pastor Kathleen Penning.
Let's see if I can set my watch for time here so I'll make sure I do that back. Well, again, thank you. About 5 years, almost at the completion of 5 years of my second position as a pastor. I was a pastor, one of 5 full-time pastors in a congregation of about 6,000 members, which at that time was a mega church, not the kind today, but it was very big at that time. And a new senior pastor had come on the staff a few months earlier. And on a Friday afternoon in June, he asked me to come to his office, and we chatted briefly for a minute or two. And then he said he was going to allow me to choose. And my options were to either resign or be fired. Nothing even remotely close to that had happened to me before. And to me, it was a neon sign saying, failure. I can't even remember flunking a test. I'm not a straight A student, but I can't remember ever flunking a test. And I felt like I had just flunked ministry. Obviously, to that pastor, he didn't want me on the staff. I felt like I had failed the congregation, I had failed my family, I failed myself, I even felt like I had failed God, Spirit, universe, however you understand that. And I was ready to quit ministry. Didn't have a clue what I was going to do, but I felt like I was washed up as a pastor. A few weeks or a month or so after leaving that congregation, I did resign. That was for me more than anything else. But a few weeks or months later, my best friend at the time came to me one day and handed me a book she had found in the library, this book. And she said, I had to read it. And I looked at the title and I thought, if anybody else had handed me this book, I would have thought it was a cruel joke. From her, it seemed like the title was an oxymoron. The title, Happiness is a Choice. I had just been told I wasn't wanted and needed at a place. I just felt like I was washed up. I was not a happy person. I was probably somewhat depressed as well. And there are things that happen in life that are not good, not nice. That wasn't a choice on my part. But because she was my friend, I started to read the book. And on page 5, in a personal note from the author, who is Barry Neil Kaufman, by the way, in a part in the middle of the page, in italics, were the words, the way we choose to see the world creates the world we see. Choosing to see the world, I didn't have a choice about leaving that congregation. That was not my choice. There were other things that, it didn't seem to make any sense to me that I had a choice on any of this. And I was thinking, if this is what this book is about, why bother? But the book is about 6 steps or possible ways to create more happiness in your life. And I started reading the book, and I was thinking of some of these and saying, that sounds really simplistic. Can't be that easy. And I got to, oh, there's 6 shortcuts, excuse me. And I got to shortcut number 5. And it's being grateful. Grateful in the midst of what I was experiencing. And in the beginning of this, the author writes, and I'm quoting, "When we are happy, we are truly grateful. The reverse also holds true. When we are grateful, we are truly happy. In fact, oftentimes I call gratitude the sweetest way to embrace happiness. We can cut through all the misery by turning our attention to being grateful. In spite of all the catastrophes that might occur, we can find in little and big ways bottomless well springs for our thankfulness. Gratitude then becomes the shortest of shortcuts to happiness." That started me thinking, did I have anything to be grateful for? And I realized, well, I had savings, which meant I could survive and manage and wasn't going to have to move or sell my car or, anything like that for a number of months at least, just if I was careful. Even if I didn't have any other income, that was a pretty good thing to be grateful for. My family was supportive. I was dating a guy and he was being very supportive of me at the time. And then I started looking around and I saw flowers and some birds. I like to watch birds and started being grateful for those things too. Some little things, No, nothing. I didn't win the lottery. Lottery wasn't legal back then. I didn't have somebody offer me suddenly a job. I was in a Christian denomination, where I could not and cannot go out and hand out my resume and say, "Here I am, hire me." The process is a little different. And so there were a lot of things that weren't working, but there were things I could be grateful for. And things in me began to shift. And since that time, I got married to the guy I was dating. We're still married. He's also a pastor. We served together in a church in South Carolina for 12 years, and we were still married at the end of that. I mentored 14 seminary students while at that church. After retiring when I was ready, not somebody forcing me out, I've had, for 5.5 years, I hosted a weekly live radio show that was heard on 6 continents and in at least 26 countries. Now I have my new podcast, Tilted Halo. All of us know that we're not quite perfect type thing. And hopefully sooner rather than any much later, I have a book coming out. A lot of good things have happened in spite of, and in some ways because I left that congregation. Much of that would never have happened. I asked you to think about that statement, it is more blessed to give than to receive. There are many ways in which that's a great statement. It encourages us to be generous. And as children, I heard that. As a child, to get away from the selfishness of it always being about me, to think about other people. But there are ways in which that wise old saying can be a problem too. Can lead to us giving out of a sense of guilt. Oh, if I don't give, I'm not going to get blessed. I got to do this. A sense of duty, a sense of judgment if I don't do it, a sense of maintaining or gaining a certain social status as being a generous person, seen as philanthropic. It leads to kind of a transaction. You give me, I give you, a quid pro quo type thing. And it also can lead to people being so focused on giving that they're so difficult to give to. Have you ever experienced that? You want to give somebody something, but they say, oh, no, 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 not me, not me. And they close the door because it's always more blessed to give than to receive. So what's the antidote to some of this? It is gratitude. You know, every single one of us here is here, couldn't even say by fate. You know, if our parents, whoever they may be, had started us off in life a month later, a week later, even 5 minutes later, we would not be us. Somebody else would have been born when that egg and that sperm met. It would have been different. Not you, not me. Our very existence is a gift from God, universe, however you see that. Everything we have is physically is a gift, including for those of us who now wear eyeglasses. Our sight is not perfect. I have hearing aids, and my hearing is definitely no longer perfect, even with my hearing aids. You know, yes, I can still walk, but there are other things about life as we get older that aren't the way we always want them to be. Every day is full of opportunities that, yes, sometimes we create them, but many times they are just things that come to us, all as a gift. Oh, there's bad stuff that happens. There's no doubt about that. The author of this book, about 1.5 years ago or 2 years ago, had a diagnosis of stage 4 metastatic cancer, given 5 days to 5 weeks to live. Bad stuff can happen. By the way, he's still alive. That's a whole nother story. But, you know, even within those painful experiences, there can be good things. Like for me, it was painful to leave that congregation, but if I had stayed there, number one, I was very close to burnout, even then. And the person who, on staff who took my position, I saw him a couple of months or so after I left, saw him in a store. He looked horrible. And I asked him, is he okay? And he asked me how in the world I did what I was doing. And I told him, well, according to one person, I didn't do it well, you know? It wasn't long after that that he left that position and moved to a different place where he was the chaplain at a long-term care facility. Much happier person. Receiving, knowing what is given to us totally by grace, totally without our doing everything or anything. That is what helps to fill us to be able to give in the most blessed of ways. About 1 year ago, I was in Phoenix, Arizona, doing some taping for my podcast and had some time to walk through a park about this time of the year, so it wasn't blazing hot in Phoenix. And we came to an area where there was a playground, and the children, the different things to play on, swings. I've always loved to swing on the swings. There was some places to climb on things and some monkey bars to swing from and a little area with a sandbox. And then I saw a teeter-totter, an adult-sized one, not a child-sized one. I thought, it has been decades since I had played on a teeter-totter. And I looked at that, but then my friend said, yeah, let's do that. And we're about the same weight, at least, similar enough that it would work. And up and down, and it felt so good to have those memories of playing on a teeter-totter. But a couple of weeks ago, I thought back at that experience and realized, all of those other things in the playground, a child could play on, or any person could play on alone. You might have friends there that are there, but the activity itself is solo, but not on a teeter-totter. You can't play on a teeter-totter alone. You're stuck sitting on the ground if you do. And if you try to jump up on your own, it's pretty hard landing, It's the same thing with giving and receiving. It's the two parts to the balance. Yes, it's blessed to give, but it's also very blessed to be a grateful and gracious receiver, to know the grace that we have been given and all of the gifts that we cannot earn, that we will never deserve, and even to be grateful for the things that we do and that we do earn, yes, but especially for those things that are just a gift given to us by God, Spirit, or universe. So think of a teeter-totter. You can't play on a teeter-totter alone. And giving and receiving, you need both. Thank you. Oh, and by the way, I have a number of books here, and I do have two sheets, one with some quotes from other faith leaders, different kinds of faith leaders, and one with a whole bunch of resources where you can read more about happiness and all kinds of positive psychology if you're interested in that.
Oh, don't go away yet. This is now the best part of the service.
Oh, okay.
We call it a talk back.
Okay.
But it's where all the people in cheap seats get to offer comments, their own experiences, ask questions, possibly challenge things you may have said.
That's fine. That's fine. Just please talk loudly enough so that my not so good hearing can hear you.
I want to find out, what is a Fascinate Certified Advisor?
A Fascinate Certified Advisor. Yes. A woman named Sally Hogshead, and that is her real name, developed an assessment. It's you've heard of like Myers-Briggs or some of the personality assessments. Well, she developed an assessment that helps people understand how we fascinate somebody else instead of how we see the world or how the world sees us. It's how we see the world is what most of those assessments measure. This is how the world sees us. It's fascinating. And so I am certified to administer that assessment and to help people understand it. And it's a neat little assessment. It shows that there's 7 basic ways that we fascinate each other, but because one's primary and one's secondary, that means there's 49 combinations. So it's a fascinating little assessment.
Sounds quite fascinating.
Yes, ma'am.
So what are a few of them?
I'm sorry, please talk.
What are a few of the things?
What are some of those? Let's see if I can remember all 7 at the moment. Power, passion. There's a chart with all 7 on power. Power is how we relate to other people. Passion is relationships. Power is kind of control issue type thing. Passion is relationships, and let me stop my timer here. Somebody who is into details, very detailed oriented. There's one called mystique, somebody who isn't the most open person, a kind of a mystery around them type of idea. Somebody who trust is another one, where people are they're very seen as very trustworthy, and trust is a very important thing for them. Imagination, somebody who's very creative. So those are at least most of them in all of that. Prestige is one. Somebody who likes titles, who gets a lot of certifications sometimes, those kinds of things. And then when you start combining these together, she came up with interesting little names for the combinations of them. And I'm sometimes seen as a kind of a Sherlock Holmes detective, because I like some of the mystique and some of the detail type things. That's part of how people often see me. But there's also a lot of creativity in me. So
I wondered if you use that assessment as your mentoring seminarians.
yes, excuse me. Stop there. Yes, I use that assessment. I can give it to anybody. So if any of you are interested in that, just let me know. I'd be glad to share it with you. There is a slight cost to it, but I usually talk with people, give you good feedback, and you get feedback from the organization immediately. So it's not like you take the assessment and you got to wait for it to, a week or 10 days or something for it to process. So, anyone else?
I'm going to come up and speak in this bigger thing here.
Yes.
I really enjoyed your topic.
Thank you.
I've always been one who is not good at receiving, and I needed that. That's all I can say.
I think all of us have some issues with receiving at times and in certain situations. So, you're not unique in that. And because we're in a culture where we're trained to be very independent, this country was formed on independence and, strong personal perseverance and everything. And so that's usually seen as a very good trait in people. But sometimes it gets in our way. That's the problem. That's the issue.
Yeah, I feel that sometimes people don't realize my appreciation for what they did, because I don't know how to receive.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? No? Thank you.
If you think of anything,
Yeah, if you think of
between
anything
now
later,
and then,
let me know.
maybe you could talk with her after the service, or email her, or give her a call. Thank you so much, Pastor Kathleen. And Mike, can you somehow put all of this into a musical reflection?
I think I have a song for us. So I have the same problem. I've spent many years practicing, playing, writing, recording, and people at shows will say, "Oh, you're great. That was awesome." And I'm just like, "Nah, just got lucky." I know. I'm not good at, but I tell other musicians, just say thank you and move on. I would do it anyway if I didn't get the adulation or recognition. I just do it because it's like breathing for me. Which is good, because if I ever end up in jail, if they let me play the guitar, I'll be happy. Not that I've done anything wrong. Under a veil of illusion, spent many long years in a haze, crawled through a world of confusion, barely escaped from the maze, stumbled across the lost caverns, I tore up the natural bridge, many a dream I have scattered, I crawled to the end of the ridge. But the sons of Virginia, the shade of the mountains draw near. Let go the mist from within you. Come brush away that last tear. Don't turn your back on tomorrow. Ah, you know you can't run from the past. Don't spend your whole life in sorrow. None of these moments can last. Somewhere beyond the great distance, in the twinkling of dawn's silver light, shake off the chains of resistance. Pick up new wings and take flight. Hey, the sons of Virginia, shade of the mountains draw near. Let go the mist from within you. Everything's coming so clear. Yes, the sons of Virginia, shape of the mountains draw near. Let go the mist from within you. Everything's coming so clear. That was nothing.
That was lovely. Is that one you wrote?
Yeah, I did write that. I'm driving from here to New Jersey, and I wrote most of it in Virginia in the car. Well, I wasn't composing while I was driving, but I was thinking
That's fabulous.
and driving.
You can multitask.
Trying. My wife's better at multitasking.
This fellowship is important to us all. The contributions we make today allow us to sustain and grow our congregation and to reach out to our community, both nearby and in the larger world. Your giving affirms our commitment to each other and to the community. And for the people watching at home, this is a splendid opportunity to go on our website and hit the donate button. With grateful hearts, we receive these gifts. May they encourage us to live lives of integrity, compassion, and peace. We're also grateful to all the people who make possible our Sunday services, all our various community activities, and presenting us to the outside world via the newsletter and YouTube. And that includes everyone who cheers us on by being in these chairs today, or in their even more comfortable Barca loungers at home. Please look with me now at the announcements in your order of service. Linda is going to talk about social suppers.
We're going to try a new place today. We're going to go to Zapata's, which is a Mexican restaurant, and it's in the same little venue, I guess, of where the Fusion Bowl is. So if you just park by the Fusion Bowl, it's a few doors down. They're expecting us.
And Agnes Fiore has a message she would like to share with us.
I spoke to some of you before the service, but a friend of mine, a neighbor actually, is teaching Qigong, which is a Chinese kind of meditative exercise that's supposed to promote healing, both in your mind and your body. She teaches it here, on Tuesdays. There's no fee, nor does she want donations. So if anybody's interested, it's only twice a month. If anybody's interested, see me and I can give you a flyer.
Thank you, Agnes. The UU Animal Ministry has its next build on March 16th, all right? There will be 3 dogs welcoming all the volunteers to come and build a fence. You can just show up or call Claudia and get more, or just show up, she says, okay. Volunteers don't need any special experience or any tools or anything, just appear. Feed NC, the fanciest soup kitchen in America, I think. Our next day to slice and dice and peel and serve people there is on March
March 12th.
March the 12th. So
14th.
14th, okay.
Second Thursday.
And in recent months, they have changed the starting time from 9 to 9:30, which is ever so much more civilized. To sign up, be in touch with Jim Arnold. His email address is in the bulletin. And movie Tuesdays. Apparently, everyone who went to see Ordinary Angels gave it a 10 on the Linda Heidenberg rating scale. And so that's going to be an option for this Tuesday.
That was a first, any movie to get a 10, much less unanimous.
It's a bunch of harsh critics, so you know,
Yeah.
you know, it's an important thing. Anyway, be in touch with Linda if you want to join that group. Our closing song today is number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. Please stand as you're willing and able.
I might be true. Can't see. Page turning. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom of each of us, every color, creed, and kind, see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell the story deep inside, when we listen to the loving mind, hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. Our heart is in a holy place. When we share the silence of the sacred space, and the God of our hearts is within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. Then our heart is in a holy place.
A little additional thought to go along what I've said. Context is always important. This morning, actually, as I was getting ready, I was listening to a worship service online, and the pastor was talking about context in any situation. And he brought up the statement, the customer's always right. Probably have all heard that one. But he learned recently that that's not the whole statement. The customer's always right in matters of taste is what it was originally. The context. When we talk about gratitude and giving, you know, our context is important too. You know, we give out of the context of what we receive. We give out of a place of being grateful, and then we are full to give. That's our context. So context is always important for anything we do, everything we hear. And there's a lot of stuff out there we hear these days, good, bad, and ugly, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Anything in our lives, think about the context. But in the midst of that, what is your context of gratitude? And how do you give out of that? So thank you. And remember the teeter-totter too.
We close our services by extinguishing the chalice, and Pat tried something last week that I would like to continue if we could. If we could all take hands with each other as we go around and do the extinguishing the chalice words, kind of a call and response. We extinguish this chalice, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. Quite lovely and very helpful, I think.
Good,
It had
good.
a nice practice.